Today and tomorrow we're going to work with factoring by grouping. So to factor by grouping, it means that you're going to actually break it apart into two separate groups and look and see what greatest common factor can come out of each group, and that will help you create your factoring. These are always done in trinomials where you have, trinomials, polynomials where you have more than three terms. You can create this from a trinomial, but it does take an extra step. And all the ones we're going to be working with today have four terms. So let's look at this first problem. We have 3x cubed plus 4x squared minus 15x minus 20. And so we're going to take it into two separate sections. The first two and the last two. So let's look at the first two first. What can factor out of what I've highlighted in yellow? Well, they both have an x squared. And so I can factor out an x squared on both of those. There's no number they share in common. So x squared is the biggest thing I can factor out of both those. If I factor it out of x squared out of both the things I've highlighted in yellow, that would leave me 3x cubed take away an x squared, is taken out of x squared, is going to give me a 3x. A 4x squared, and I factor out an x squared, that leaves behind a 4. Now let's look at our second set. In our second set, we have to look and see what's in common. Well, there's a negative sign to start off with. That means you automatically have to factor out a negative. So now let's look and see what number they share between the two of them. Well, they share a 5 will divide into both, and that's the largest number that can divide into both, so a 5. And there's not an x in both, so that's as far as we can get. So negative 15 divided by negative 5 leaves me a positive 3. X is going to stay the same because I'm not factoring out an x. Negative 20, and I divide by negative 5, leaves me a positive 4. Now at this stage, you should see what's inside your parentheses should match exactly. If it didn't, go back and look and see what you may have done wrong. Because there's usually a minor mistake that you did. These will always match up at this point. And so you write down what's in the parenthesis once. 3x plus 4. Then you pretend like that's not here. What's left? X squared minus 5. And unless this is like a difference of squares or difference or sum of cubes, you are done. That is the answer. Let's do it one more time. Okay. On this one, looking at my first two terms, and then I need to look at my last two terms. And when I look at these, on my first two, a number that's shared between both of them is a 2. A 2 will divide into both. There is an x squared is the x that can divide into both. So in other words, you're looking for the smallest exponent on your x. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. X cubed, and I take out 2 x's, that leaves me just an x. 14 divided by 2 is 7. It's positive, so positive 7. If I have 2 x's and I take out 2 x's, that just leaves a 7. So my second set. Again, it's a negative, so I have to write down a minus sign. What number divides into both 1 and 7? Well, only number that divides into both of those is a 1, and there's not an x on both terms. Leave me x. So if I take negative x divided by negative 1, it's going to give me a positive x. Negative 7 divided by negative 1 is going to leave me a positive 7. Now, these two parentheses completely match. And so I have to write them down once. and that gives me an x plus 7. And what is left behind is the 2x minus 1. Just a quick side note on this is the reason I did this problem, is make sure to factor out that negative 1. Because often people will go, okay, this is just 2x, oops, that was supposed to be 2x squared. And they won't put that minus 1. So just be careful on that. That's just a common problem that happens on these problems. So just be there.